Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and once again I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Land 2 for the Game Boy. So, last time we did manage to able to complete the forms of the third world in this game, which appears to be by the forms of Crazy Kremland, and all in all, that's actually a pretty swell run, despite I did come across into questionable depths. But regardless of everything else though, we still managed able to collect every single, DK Hero coins, and also find every single of those, bonus areas in particular. So today, for this video, is the fact that we are going to be moving on to the forms of the fourth world in this game, known as the forms of Gloomy Gulch. And because of this though, we're going to be experiencing, likely, for the majority of the forest levels, and I think that's as far as I can usually say about for this point. So, yeah, let's get to it with the forms of the first stage on this world, which appears to be Gusty Glade. And in this particular level's case is the fact that, unfortunately though, we don't have the most iconic music from the likes of the forms of Donkey Kong Country 2, so instead it's been replaced by the forms of Bayou Boogie, which I honestly don't mind about it too much, although, relatively speaking, what's even weirder is the fact that I'm pretty sure that music is the exact same music as you heard from the likes of the forms of the majority of those swamp levels, so not exactly sure why they managed to choose that decision, although then again though, mainly because of the limitations of the Game Boy, but I digress. So, in this level's gimmick right here is the fact that we actually stumbled across these ghost ropes, and basically every time if you're about to be able to try to get onto these ghost ropes, every once in a while, if they start flashing, this means about the fact that, well, they're about to disappear at any moment's notice. Just like in the forms of how it does it in Donkey Kong Country 2, except the fact that it's on the Game Boy, so. And I think, fundamentally speaking, is the fact that I'm pretty sure this level does have one bonus area. In fact, for the majority of the world, usually for the sake of the forms of those, any other levels in this world, does manage to retain one bonus area. Well, two exceptions, mind you, but then again, we'll point it out whenever we get into it. So, anyway, today's date is, of course, the 23rd of March today, in this case in 2022 today. So the addition about the fact the matter is, though, is the fact that obviously with the new Mario Kart Tour thing is now up, from the likes of the forms of the Samurai Tour, which means, yes, we're about to be heading back onto Ninja Hideaway again, except the fact that the biggest difference is now, we have the cosmetics between the forms of, well, you know what I mean, when it comes to the forms of, Mario and Peach, and also Daisy managed able to get the reappearance of that cosmetic differences there. So, anyway, so there's the DK Hero coin, which strangely enough, it was actually at the very end of the level, which is kind of crazy, kind of think about it. Speaking of crazy though, here we are on to the forms of the next level in the game, which appears to be Crazy Coaster. And, relatively speaking, unfortunately though, unlike the forms of how it does it on the forms of, the regular Donkey Kong Country 2 game, that normally, that we're supposed to be able to get chased by the forms of that particular ghost, Captain Ghost, whilst the forms of this particular version, there aren't any, time limits to be found, and especially noticeable, there is no chase sequence. So instead, I believe this is kind of feels like a very simple and easy coaster level. So in this case though, I think relatively speaking, this is actually the final time we're going to be able to ride on the roller coaster, kind of think about it, because I can assure you about the fact that for the majority of this game, that it will actually take place in these different location themes for about 3 times for the entire game, so kind of weird for that particular choice, don't you think? Especially noticeable that unlike the console version, that basically we stumbled across into those familiar level themes several times. Oh, and by the way, with the forms of the only bonus area in this level, in addition to the DK Hero coin, you always have to be sure you need to go onto the up route, because if you somehow manage to go down the route, basically though is the fact that you will miss anything, so, and that is by far one of the easiest levels in terms of those roller coaster levels, so, yeah, it seems kind of strange, doesn't it? Anyways, let's move on to the forms of the next level in this world, which appears to be Gusty Glade. And this appears to be takes place in the forest again. And of course, the main emphasis on this level is the fact that before we do that, actually, in here, this is where we find Rattly the Rattlesnake. However, though, I think I'm not going to use him this time because, well, the main emphasis on this level right here is the fact that we have to deal with the wind. So as a result though, if you see those leaves blows in either not only from the left or the right, so because of that though, we can able to can tell that which specific wind direction they'll be blowing on towards. So, and this is where I managed to skip Rattlate the Rattlesnake because, well, for this part right here, we have to be super cautious with this platforming segment here. So, yeah, just watch your step, because obviously that if you mess up, or especially noticeable if you're trying to play as Rattlate the Rattlesnake, that the only problem with that is the fact that he's actually super slippery in this game for some reason. So as a result though, that you might able to get your chance that you might able to actually accidentally die in the process. So yeah, kind of you know, questionable here and there. But anyways, here we go, a cannonball right here again. So in this case, we'll have to once again take it to the cannon, which pretty much once again leads us to the bonus area. So, speaking of the bonus areas in this level though, I'm pretty sure there are about 2 of them. So, yeah, that pretty much summarizes as such there. And I think, fundamentally speaking, so far anyway though, this is by far the shortest world in the entire game so far. Well, at least we haven't exactly got into the forms of the final world yet, but hopefully though, we will able to actually get this done in due time, despite the fact that I somehow missed that hook. But, oh well, no big deal, but at the very least we got the checkpoint. I just realized something, is the fact that if I go back, then obviously I think I'm missing something. Yeah, those 2 bananas right there. I have no idea why, I just somehow accidentally ignored those. But thankfully we did manage to find it, so that all really matters. So, anyway, so yeah, with the forms of how the fact that whenever I do still manage to, for some reason, still play Mario Kart Tour over the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because, well, as I said, countless amount of times already, that after all, we've already 100% everything on the likes of the DLC pack number 1, so now we need to wait for DLC pack 2, maybe at some point during the summer. So either way though, hopefully I'll be back onto that game as soon as we get to summer. So, and because as a result though, yeah, unfortunately though, I have to go back onto this very clunky control scheme when it comes to that particular game itself. So yeah, that might be something as worth benefit for the doubt. So, and also, that for those of you who lived in Europe, specifically UK, or most of the other countries out there, recently, Poke Park 2 Wonders Beyond has now officially become 10 years old recently. Well, mind you, technically ever since in November last year, that Japan has already managed able to release Poke Park 2 already. Well, usually relatively speaking, that game has already become 10 years old already, whilst the forms of the North American version also managed able to release the game within, you know, a decade old and stuff like that. So that might be something worth noting for. So anyways, let's go ahead and save our game quickly. So in this case, we're down to 62%. So yeah, that should be good to go. Next level we have is Parrot Cute's Panic. So in this case, I get the strong sense of feeling this is actually the final time we're going to be able to explore through the Hive environment, because, well, as far as I'm aware, just like in the console version of this level, that basically the main emphasis on this level is that that particular squawk will able to actually descend. So, and we can't do anything else like that. We can't shoot those specific projectiles at one of those zingers, so it's up to us to able to actually just to slowly glide down and then watch out for those certain enemies like zingers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of similar to the forms of how it does in the original, that's for sure. So, and also during the forms of today actually is the fact that well, Kid Icarus Uprising, for those of you who lived in the English versions of this particular game, well, to be more specifically, I should say that for those of you who lived in America and Europe, that game is now officially a decade old, which despite I no longer have that game anymore, well, mainly because of the forms of the control scheme. That's only mainly because I was expecting that game will be on the Switch at any time soon, but sadly, no luck onto that. But oh well, no big deal. But at the very least, I still enjoyed the soundtrack, as well as the forms of the visuals, but as well as the story too. The story was so damn good, even especially noticeable with how the humor still looks pretty funny to this day. And it's just the fact that it's kind of a shame is the fact that the controls managed to able to boil down for me. So that's the only major gripe I have with the game, is the fact that the controls can sometimes give me some hand cramps. So, yeah, especially noticeable. It's bad enough it was on the handhelds to begin with. So, yeah, because I will give the actual game credits for that. At the very least, they did manage to revive Kid Icarus for such a long time after the events of 1992 Game Boy installment or something like that. Well, at least if I was assuming so. So yeah, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. Have you guys managed able to still think about trying to play Kid Icarus Uprising after 10 years when that game has usually been released back in the forms of 2012? Well, I remember enjoying it for a bit, except the fact that, like I said, the controls can be sometimes feels a bit hand crampy sometimes, at least from my experience anyway, so. But I highly doubt it will able to actually make it to the Switch ports or something, even then. If the Switch ports usually becomes a thing, then I will be definitely trying to able to give that game a second chance with its HD visuals and stuff like that. But unfortunately though, it's not gonna happen anytime soon because obviously we got more games instead, such as for instance, you know, Nintendo Switch Sports, Mario Strikers Battle League Football, or usually Mario Strikers Battle League for those of you who lived in just North America and any other countries for that matter. So, and also, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, despite the fact that that particular game is getting delayed for the second time by the forms of thanks to the Ukraine and Russian war. So, yeah, thankfully it's nothing to do with the forms of that stupid thing that we keep on about so many goddamn times in the past. But let's forget about that right now, because either way though, we'll just move on. So anyways, for that level right there, does have 2 bonus areas, so you probably get the gist of it. So, anyways, let's move on to the next level in this world, which is Web Woods. And this level can be notorious for those of you who played the original Donkey Kong Country 2 before, not only because of how the fact that not only do we have to able to take control of the forms of Squidward the Spider, but also this level is by far the longest so far. But relatively speaking though, and also on top of all that stuff though, since this is on the Game Boy of course, this means we have to do with the forms of the screen resolution as well. So this meaning you can't really tell what's beyond the distance, or maybe on the top or bottom, so you have to take a massive guesswork. So yeah, that might be something worth noting for the sake of the forms of that particular things itself for this matter, so. Although thankfully, this level does have 1 bonus area, so at the very least we can able to actually just to keep an eye on it, so. Anyway, so I digress. So I suppose aside from all that stuff though, I think suffice to say, I think that's pretty much as far as I can say for this point guys. I do definitely know for the fact that, well, as I mentioned this earlier, that, you know, Kid Icarus Uprising is now, you know, a decade old, so even then let me know in the comments down below that what you think about the forms of Kid Icarus Uprising after 10 years since when it first came out for the Nintendo 3DS. Do you still love it, or do you like it for a bit, despite the control cramps? So as a result though, yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts, because I found the game pretty good, except with the controls. It does need to be, needs to be tweaked somehow. But I'm not exactly sure when that the Switch version is going to be a thing, but regardless of such though, it has to wait, I'm presuming so, although it might not happen anytime soon I guess, but it's hard to tell, because again, speculations are still a thing, of course, so in this case though, there's going to be a lot of rumors and all that stuff though, which, that just feels a bit, you know, kind of feels a bit old every now and then, although I do get it about the forms of some speculations, but I honestly have no words to think about it, so. And yet again though, with the forms of the Mario Kart Tour game I just somehow for some reason come back and play, that once again I keep on getting screwed over by the stupid item system as well as the controls that I've somehow pointed out yet again. And on top of all that stuff though, stupid gotcha moments such as I cannot seem for the life of me, can never get Samurai Mario or another cosmetic of Peach, but hopefully I will try to come across into those 2 cosmetic stuff until maybe at some point, but then again though, it's entirely luck based if you manage to able to. It's kind of like similar thing for the likes of how it does it in Sonic Runners. Like, yeah, you guys remember that lost media Sonic game from the likes of in 2015, likely but about the fact that that game has been shut down ever since in 2016, most notably because of its commercial failure, or maybe it's probably because of the forms that they need a lot of money. So as a result though, yeah, thanks to the forms of that gosh darn gotcha moments with that particular specific characters we need to acquire and all that stuff though, if you want to make the actual thing itself a bit better. And speaking of that though, is the fact that until specifically on this Friday, around the same time as when Kirby and the Forgotten Land is going to be releasing, I believe Mario Kart Tour is going to be 2.5 years old, so yeah, in fact I'll talk more details about that until whenever we get into that day, around the same day as when Kirby and the Forgotten Land game is about to be officially released. So, in fact, I haven't exactly touched upon the forms of the reviews of Kirby and the Forgotten Land yet, but I'm still very excited for this game, especially noticeable about the fact that, like I said, you know, I'm just so damn excited, able to finally play a proper 3D Kirby game nonetheless. So, anyways, let's go ahead and save our game quickly, and so far we are 67% done. So, at the very least, we are getting close. So, anyways, let's move on to the boss fight in the likes of Gloomy, Gulch, and that's what appears to be buddy forms of, well, Creepy Crow. So in this case, we have a rematch against with Crow, but for some reason, he was not on the ghost form for some reason. It's basically the exact same sprite as the forms of how it does on the first boss in the game. So, yeah, you know the drill. Basically, you just have to able to once again toss the egg right back at the Crow, and then basically that is the fact that we can able to deal the damage on him. But here's the difference this time is the fact that, well, relatively speaking, he now summons his minions and stuff like that to able to actually decide to attack on us. And oh god, this part is very tricky because you have to dodge that particular incoming eggs. So yeah, that is definitely one of the hardest aspects about this fight. So anyways, let's go ahead and oh god, okay, jump, okay, and hit him. Okay, I think one more hit shall do it. But at least after the events of those enemies swooping, just trying to able to outright against me. Okay, and grab the egg. There he goes, and that was it. How easy was that? It certainly is a lot easier than the forms of how it does it on the Super Nintendo version, but hey, at least I did manage to kick his butt, no problem. So, yeah, suffice to say, and also we've managed to able to unlock the extra world as well, by the forms of Clobber's Cask. But I think we should probably save that for later on, because, well, we don't have that enough of those Creme coins until whenever we make our way to the very end of the game. So, in fact, relatively speaking of such though, is the fact that, suffice to say, we'll pretty much have to ending stuff at this point right here, I'm afraid, guys. So join me next time. I know for the fact that this video is very short, so I just want to get this out of the way. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Land 2. That is the fact that we are moving on to the fifth world in the game, known as K-Roll's Keep. So, yeah, we're actually getting pretty close towards the end, folks. So, yeah, I'll see you guys until on Friday. Later, fellas.